Now, if you've completed the first two sections on confidence and conviction, I really want to congratulate you because there was some hard work in those sections. If you did the exercises, sometimes those exercises can be difficult, brutal. Honesty can hurt. Change can hurt. So I want to appreciate you for doing some very important, difficult work. In this next section, you and I are going to talk about connectedness. And this conversation is going to be a little bit more subtle. It's not going to take work on your end. It's going to take awareness and observation, not just of the world around you, but more importantly, observation of yourself. So what is connectedness? Now, when I was younger, I spent a lot of time meditating, training in martial arts, qigong, training in other ceremonies and traditions. And there was a time when I went 6 months of living a very quiet monastic lifestyle, eating light and clean, meditating a lot, hardly saying a word unless I really had to. I was really pulling everything in and just observing the world. And as I became quiet, here's what happened. I started to feel other people's emotions faster. I started to think faster with more clarity. My dreams took on a whole new level of interest and color, and they started to really impact me, and they gave me meaning and ideas for how I wanted to live. So this is what I mean by connectedness. And if you've ever read any Lao Tzu, any of the Taoist texts, this really is something that they might describe as something which can't be explained, which can only be experienced. But connectedness to me is dropping your ego and all the noise and all the attachments so that you can be more present with yourself, more present with others, more present with your purpose and what you're focused on and what your outcome in any one moment is. Maybe it's being more connected with God or your creator or just the universe. But it's this sense of being connected to something bigger and more infinite to yourself in a way that it powers you and inspires you. And as I'm talking, you might be able to think of times in your life or experiences that you've had where you felt that higher level of connectedness. And in most cases, it will have felt good. It will have felt like you were in flow, in motion, inspired. And here's an important question. What would change in your life if you could just figure out how to be in that space, how to be in that state, maybe 10% more of the time than you are now? I have a good idea. I think that you would spend more time being creative. You'd spend more time thinking of bigger ideas. You'd see things from different perspectives that would allow you to overcome challenges, not just faster, but in more graceful, creative ways. So this concept of connectedness is so important in business, but it's important in relationships. So many marriages die, so many relationships break down, so many business partnerships break down because people stop being present with themselves. They start to listen to themselves more than their partner, and it creates this situation where it becomes very difficult to create those win-win situations which are so important when two or more people are coming together to create something bigger. So connectedness all the way around is important. It's also this idea of this concept you may have heard before that we might be spiritual beings having a human experience. And that sounds really cool, but I want you to have an experience right now of what that maybe feels like. So I know right now you're watching this video or you're listening to me talk, and you may be sitting down or standing up or driving or doing whatever else you're doing. But I want you to notice something subtle. So pay attention. I want you to notice that you're watching or listening to me and doing whatever you're doing. But recognize that there's a part of yourself which has even stepped back further from that. And this part of you is watching you responding. Sometimes when you're on the phone, you might be on the phone talking to someone, but there's a part of you that sits back and is watching you on the phone. Sometimes watching you with interest, like you're the most entertaining show in town. And I've had that experience so many times, and everyone I talk about it to says, yeah, when I pay attention, there is that part of myself which is deeper and further back. And what is that part of myself? In Buddhism and many other traditions, this would be considered the soul or the essential self, the infinite self. And I bring it up and I bring your attention to it, and perhaps you've been noticing it right now as we're talking. Because when you can access that part of yourself on demand, it creates within you this incredible reservoir of potential and creativity and power, which, to be truthful, most people don't have access to. And so when you train yourself to be able to take a situation and step back and operate from there, make decisions from there, see the world from there, you instantly set yourself apart and become a more powerful, creative, problem-solving individual. It also gives you, to be honest, a much more fun experience of life. Because when you operate from that place, things that used to annoy you don't annoy you anymore. You know, so many guys I coach get frustrated with other people, their standards, their behaviors, what they do or don't do. But when you operate from that place, I know you'll agree with this, you start to disconnect and you start to see that it's just people. It's nothing to get worked up about. It's nothing to have an emotional reaction that spins you down into depression or frustration about. It's just people. It's just life. It's just the universe. So from that perspective, what we're going to do is we're going to move into some videos where I'm going to give you some techniques, tactics, strategies, ideas, even ask you some questions, which are going to help you to let go of some of the stuff which keeps you attached. In other words, I'm going to invite you to become more detached, but equally, I'm going to invite you to become more connected. And if you reflect on it, there's a big difference between it being attached to something and being connected to yourself and something bigger than yourself in a way that you simply become a more powerful, more effective man. So come back on the next video and we'll take this to the next level.